Hi, I'm Jimmy Noble with the Noble Group, and we're going to go over the final walkthrough instructions. So the question is, what is the final walkthrough? The answer to that question is this. The final walkthrough is when the buyer does a walk through the house prior to going to settlement, so that they make sure everything is, emptied out of the house, and the house is substantially in the same condition as when they went under contract. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to read verbatim, and this is not as exciting as a book on tape, so for that I apologize in advance. Probably going to be extremely monotone, but I want you to get this information. This is part of our checklist. We're going to make sure that we send this to you at the appropriate time throughout the transaction. When it's time to get sent to you, we will. But I wanted to give you this information now so that you have it early and you can start to be prepared. So as stated in the contract for the buyer's final walkthrough, and in quotes, at settlement, the seller shall deliver possession of the property and shall deliver the property vacant, clear of trash and debris, broom clean, and in substantially the same condition as existed on the date of contract acceptance. All electrical, heating, air conditioning, plumbing, including the well and septic, and any other mechanical systems and related equipment, appliances, and smoke detectors included in the contract shall be in working condition. Buyer reserves the right to inspect the property within 5 days prior to settlement. So now what this means is that you got to get your stuff out of the place and have it ready for the buyer to walk through and see that, so the buyer can see it and make sure that everything's good to go for them to go to the settlement table. Now, I know that this says that the buyer can do this, 5 days prior to settlement. Typically, we see this happening the day before settlement or the day of settlement, oftentimes on the way to the settlement table. And, I know when we work with our buyers, we actually like to and prefer to do it on the actual way to settlement. And the whole reason being is that, we went to a house one time the day prior to settlement for a final walkthrough with the buyer, make sure everything's good to go, make sure the house is emptied and the buyer is ready to take possession. And the basement was flooded. Fortunately, it was an unfinished basement, but the sump pump broke and we had a torrential storm. The basement was flooded out. Now, had we not done the final walkthrough, the buyer would have went to the settlement table, signed, and it would have been their problem. So this is to prevent that from happening. That's also the reason. Well, that's the reason why we like doing it on the way to settlement. That's also the reason why we don't like doing it 5 days prior to settlement. This is something that happened, day 3 of prior to settlement. So, doing it the day before the day of settlement can alleviate a lot of potential headaches. However, the buyer does have the right to have it within 5 days prior to settlement. That being said, for this final walkthrough, if you notice, it says that the heating and air conditioning has to work. The sump pump obviously has to work. The smoke detectors have to work. Whatever was in there at time of contract acceptance. So this means that you guys do have to have your electric on. Don't shut off the utilities quite yet. Keep everything on and in your name up until the time of settlement. Because it has to be on so that the buyer can actually make sure that that stuff still works during their walkthrough. So if you've got any questions about the it's pretty cut and dry. If you've got any questions about the walkthrough process, or switching, when it is time to switch utilities, we've got all the numbers and whatnot very handy. Give us a call. We're here for questions. We can be reached at 1-888-205-7773. Or as always, you can visit us on thenoblegroup.org. Thanks so much. Have a great day.